G'day guys, Mitch here from Mackielec Industries. We've got a customer in here today. He's chasing a PCM relocation. He's got a Mark II FG, so we're just going to do a little video on how to install them. This is the bracket here that comes with the kit. It's really simple, 2-bolt design, 2 bolts hold it to the car, 2 bolts hold the PCM to the bracket. It's got a little hole in the middle here as well for the earth for the PCM, which makes life really easy. Best thing about this bracket is it fits Mark I and II FGs. The install process is a little different between the two, but roughly it's all the same. So the first thing you want to do before you work on anything in a car is always disconnect the battery. Positive terminal first. Sometimes I'd like to disconnect the negative just for safety. The next step you want to do is obviously remove the PCM itself. The worst thing about Ford is when they installed these PCMs, they did snap off screws. So when they tighten them up, the head of them snaps off so you can't undo them again. Now the best way that I've found to do it is get a grinder, an angle grinder, and just cut little slots into it, and then you can get a flathead screwdriver in there to undo them. Other people have got vice grips on them and got enough purchase on the bolt to actually unscrew them with the vice grips. And other people have used files. If you don't have an angle grinder handy, you can just use a file to slowly file in a little slot in there to get a flathead screwdriver in there. Alrighty, so we've got the PCM out. Down the bottom, it's got 2 plugs. Nice and simple. There's a little clip. Once you pull the clip, tab lifts off, lift the tab up, and off comes the plug. Nice and easy. So we've got all the bolts off. There's 2 17mm on the Mark IIs holding the bracket down for the strut tower. I've got to remove those bolts. There's one 10mm holding the air compressor pipes on, and there's also another 8mm holding on the engine loom. Once you get all that off, the last thing you need to do is get a flathead screwdriver. There's a little retaining clip holding the big connector on. Once that big connector's off, you can move all the harnesses out of the way, and that bracket will simply lift up and out. Alrighty, so got the bracket off, all good. Now we've got to remember, reinstall those 2 bolts that are on top of the strut tower. Make sure they're nice and tight. Do them up nice and tight with a ratchet, and while you're there, just grab a rag. Give it a quick wipe down, get rid of all the excess dirt and crap. Makes it look a little bit better. Alrighty, so now we've got the bracket out, we've got the shocker bolts on top of the strut tower done up nice and tight. Now what you'll have left is the 2 plugs and a couple of earths that run to the PCM usually. On the Mark IIs, they have this big square plug. It's a 2-part plug obviously, so undo the 10mm nut at the top and that whole plug will disassemble Once that's done, what you need to do is pass the bottom half of that plug back through underneath the ABS module, as well as the second plug that plugs into the PCM along with the earths. Once that's done, we can start mounting the PCM bracket and then get the PCM in there. Alrighty guys, so we've finished off rerouting all the wiring. What we've done for the wiring that plugs into the PCM itself, we pulled it back through behind the ABS unit and pulled it back out. For the wiring that was running into the engine, we pulled that back down underneath the vacuum reference for the brake booster. Once we've got all that done, we are now ready to put the PCM in itself. We've found the best way to put the actual relocation kit in is install the PCM module itself first and then put the bracket in after. Once the PCM's in and plugged in, we locate obviously all the earths that we took off prior to taking off the PCM module from its original location. Get all the earths together, bolt it down to the actual bracket itself, utilising that hole that's in the middle of the bracket. And you've got to remember, when you put them in, you use the star washers that are supplied in the kit, because that ensures a nice clean contact with the metal surfaces for the earth as well. Once the bracket's in, once the PCM's in, the bracket goes in next, and when you bolt the bracket down, you've also got to use those star washers to ensure a nice clean contact with earth again. Once it's all in, ready to go, then you've got a nice clean PCM install kit. Alrighty, so we're all done, got the PCM in. As you can see, it sits in there very nicely, tucked away, looks 10 times better than the factory where it sits here. Don't forget to check out our other stuff, www.mackielecindustriescom.au. This car's got the turbo side intake that we make as well, and we also make a few other little bits and pieces. So check out the website. Hope you enjoy the install video, and happy installing.